Harrison Smith.
I'm Harrison Smith. I'm the director, writer of Camp Dread, Zombie Killers. I produced and wrote The Fields with Cloris Leachman and 6 Degrees of Hell with Corey Feldman.
Nice. Camp
Welcome to
Dread
the
is
show.
fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
Gonna
I
throw that
love
out there.
Camp Dread. Camp Dread's a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
So much fun.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of Danielle Harris. If there's any way that we can hook up,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
If you want to bump Jay out of that, I'm also a big fan of Danielle Harris. So
I'm very curious about your upcoming projects. You've got a lot on your plate right now.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk about what your new position is?
Well, I'm with Carol Co. Pictures, and it's not the same Carol Co. as it was before. I mean, everybody knows Carol Co. went bankrupt back in the mid-'90s, right around '96, and it's back. And basically, what's going on is it's an all-new Carol Co. is what it is. It's right now not going to come back with Rambo or Terminator or things like that. What it is doing is setting things up to really get back into the fray. And one of the things they did was install me all the best and the brightest that are out there, from Ed Sanchez, the Saska twins, going all the way through, bringing people like Mike Mendez and everyone to the table to develop their projects and really get something going in the way of not just horror, but thrillers. And we really subscribe to the idea that low budget doesn't mean it has to suck.
Speaking of Mike Mendez, is there anything that you and Mike Mendez are working on right now, or is there something that he has in the works that you can speak on?
No, actually not yet. We are looking forward to it, though. Mike's a great guy, and I'm a big fan of Big Ass Spider.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. So
I love that movie. That movie's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
It really is. It's a fun movie, and he's just such a super nice guy. And we're looking to work with all these people. We have them. We have different things that they brought to us, and we're fielding everything. So the real catch is getting up on your feet. I often equate Carol Co. at this point in time as Bambi on the ice and standing up, and the legs are wobbling, and that's what we're doing. It's not easy to bring a major production studio back from the dead, and they're working their butts off on it, and we're pretty happy about it. And then in the meantime, I was not signed exclusively, so I can do projects outside of Carol Co. And that's what I'm working on right now with a film called Death House.
So,
yes.
And this is here we go. I want to know more about Death House because from what everybody else knows, and if they don't know, this is a script written by Gunnar Hansen.
Yes.
Which is amazing. I haven't read it, but I mean, like, the concept is amazing. And it is to be, quote-unquote, the Expendables of horror.
Yeah.
Because it features a ton of different horror icons.
Yes.
I know Kane Hodder was attached. Bill Moseley may or may not be attached. There's like a ton of really cool people attached. Any insight to how this project is developing?
How I was approached with the film, we were at USC last January, and some producers, Rick Finkelstein and Stephen Chase of Entertainment Factory, came up after Zombie Killers and said, we were brought here by Michael Eisenstadt, who is an agent to a lot of these horror celebrities. And they said, we're developing a horror film that was written by Kane Hodder, and it's been, in production hell for about 5 years. And would you be willing to come on board as a director, producer, and also possibly take a stab at a rewrite? And when they told me who it was written by, I was like, why would I even want to touch this? It's Gunnar Hansen, and that's really all you need to say about it. The story, they just wanted an update to the story. So I read Gunnar's script. They did rewrite Gunnar's script. That was the thing. I was given 2 scripts. I was given Gunnar's script, and then I was given another script. And both had different elements, and they just said, look, Gunnar is also behind this, saying, he would like a revise on it. And I was like, sure, I'll gladly take a stab at it. So I read both on the flight home, and then when I got home, it was like how do I come up with, you know, a kind of new spin on what Gunnar has done. And basically the plot originally was, and it was on IMDb for years, that you had a film crew that was investigating this old abandoned asylum. It was like a documentary film crew, and they go into the bowels of the asylum to find that the patients really aren't gone. And so it was kind of like a 10 Little Indians, you know. It was just everybody gets hunted down until there's just one left standing kind of thing.
Okay, now,
Yeah.
sorry to interject.
No.
The way that you're describing it, now, is it a found footage film?
Well, that was the thing. Gunnar's was not. The revised script that I was given was. Gunnar's script originally had that it was a college psych class exploring the boundaries of fear. What propagates fear, all of that stuff. Gunnar's was very, very heady. It was kind of almost surprising that coming from Leatherface, you were getting this very, very esoteric kind of horror film. It was very interesting.
Right.
And the second pass went the complete opposite. It went like 180 degrees, basically into, almost like torture porn found footage. There was like almost, I think, from what I had heard, I can't confirm this, but from what I heard, there was almost a schism with the horror actors who were involved. They had some who were in the Gunnar camp, and they had others who were in the other camp, and it was just kind of turning into a mess, so they came to me to kind of straighten it out. So, you know, you're caught in the middle, and you don't want to offend anybody, and the whole
You're
thing,
the mediator.
I'm the mediator. I'm Jimmy Carter of the horror world, is what it is. So, I remembered thinking, well, how the hell am I going to do this? And I went to a bar. There's this really nice bar that I like to go to just to unplug and write. And so I had my iPad with me, and I was sitting down like, you know, how am I going to do this? What do I do? And a preview for Jurassic World came on at the time for the Super Bowl. This was last January, February. And all of a sudden it hit me. Why does this have to be an asylum? So basically what I did is I created a whole new world where it's a prison, and it's a subterranean prison divided into 9 levels, like the 9 levels of hell in Dante's Inferno, where basically Death House is Jurassic Park without the dinosaurs. You have all the worst monsters in the world, all these prisoners, these serial killers, the worst that the world has to offer, all, you know, held, all held in this gigantic prison, and one day a technical glitch happens and they all get out, just like the dinosaurs.
That's where you want to keep all the most dangerous people, is all in one location.
You want to keep them all in one
Just
location.
like Arkham
that's right.
Asylum.
Well,
You know?
the nice part is I thought of that, and that's why it's subterranean. If anything ever happened, the place shuts down very much. It seals off like Chernobyl. Okay,
Right.
like that's it. No one. I mean, it's sealed off, and the best part is it's one of these prisons that doesn't exist officially. This is one of those like black budget kind of Area 51 of crime and horror is what it is. And so if something ever happened, no one's ever going to know about this anyway. And these prisoners do not get out. And there's a couple really neat glitches in there of how we ensure. It's kind of like how they did with the dinosaurs. They did the thing where they can only reproduce as female. They can't reproduce. They can only be female. And then they did something with the digestive issue with the dinosaurs, that if they aren't fed a certain, I forget what it was, they'll die. And there is something like that in this.
Right.
You have 2 federal agents.
They need to keep killing and get more blood. So
Well, the neat part is the prison is more than just a prison. It's like a studying facility. The prisoners are all kept in separate cells that are all like individual holodecks, and their worlds are recreated. And they're all kept under a very light hallucinogen, so they actually believe they've never been arrested.
Good God,
Their
this
minds
is
have
insane.
almost been
Oh.
wiped, so they think they're still living in their proper worlds. And victims are bussed in, they're homeless. And the homeless are taken off the streets and bussed into this facility where they're dressed up to look like the victims that each of these killers prefer.
interesting. That's
Oh.
really cool. That's a really
Yeah.
neat concept.
So I kind of changed some things around, and then what I did was the one thing that Gunnar said had to remain was the concept of these 4 villains called the 4 evils, and they're like the worst of the worst, and they are likely supernatural beings, and they're housed. I put them in the 9th level, which is hell, and they're housed in the 9th level. But I added a woman because all 4 evils were males, so I made a female.
Is
So
this
there are
like
5 evils.
the four horsemen of apocalypse kind
That's
of
like
deal?
Right.
all of us right now.
So I made 5, making 5 points of the pentagram.
Nice.
Okay. So
Okay.
they're all placed into the bowels of the facility, and when the 2 federal agents that are going through this facility are trapped when everything goes wrong, the only way out is to descend into hell to ascend out to safety. So that's the premise of Death House.
That actually sounds
Interesting.
like
That one sounds super crazy. And
Not
So
only does
exciting.
it sounds like a badass movie, but it sounds like it could be the best haunted house ever.
yeah, if you could make that at horror nights, that'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. It probably will be.
With the right cast, I mean, like, the cast can carry a movie, like, when you have a cast like that, but that story, like, that sounds like something that is actually, like, more than interesting. Like, it's intriguing
That's what
in
I
a way.
want.
I
Yeah,
trust
I
that
mean,
there's-
Jay can tell you he's seen a lot of my films, even like Camp Dread. We could have just made a tits and ass slasher movie, and we didn't do that.
But I'd be okay with it.
Well,
Yeah, Jay's cool.
well, you know, we do give you those elements.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
in
And
there,
you know.
but we do give you know, a really cool kind of, especially, you know, the last 2 minutes of Camp Dread really deliver the big twist ending, you know,
Yes.
and raises it above a normal slasher film, you know. And
Yeah,
so
Lindsay actually watched it. She dug it.
Yes.
I'm glad.
That's cool, too.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I personally, like, it's something that I will rewatch again. I want my sister to watch it. I've had a couple of my girlfriends watch it. Like, I enjoyed it for what it was supposed to be, which was, like, it's not traditional.
No.
In any
It's like a
sense.
pseudo satire, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be serious, but also you need to recognize that it is paying homage to the camp genre. We actually
Absolutely.
came off of a sleepaway camp commentary, so that's why we actually thought of you, because like Felissa, we were talking about Felissa Rose. It's like, wait a second, what if we get Harrison in here? That'd be great. I'm sad I missed you last weekend. I don't know if this is going to be awkward or not. But we'll try. We'll try it out. I did ask Bill Moseley. I asked him about Death House.
Yeah.
And he is attached on IMDb.
Yes.
And Ken Foray is also attached on IMDb.
Yes.
And so I asked them, what's going on with Death House? And they couldn't answer me.
Yeah.
And
No, I'm not surprised.
I don't know if that is because they're not allowed to talk about it or they are up in the air about their actual attachment to the film. What's going on?
2 things. You're right on both accounts. The film has been in development since basically 2010, and a lot of people have come back and forth. Ken Foray has been with the project since the beginning. He was one of the founders of this.
Nice.
In dealing with Michael Eisenstadt, the agent who represents a lot of these guys, including Bill Moseley, they have taken a stance of, we have their letters of intent, so that's all done, and their attitude is, we're on, as long as the financing comes through and that this is actually going to happen this time. So I guess they've had a number of start and stops on this project, so they don't like to commit themselves or, you know, stick their necks out there. And basically Michael has said, you know, listen, when you give interviews about it, you know, just don't go and say who's attached, because it could change at any time.
Right. Okay.
You know,
that makes a
and
lot of
also the
sense.
other problem is, you start mentioning people who are attached, and if you don't mention somebody who's attached, then all of a sudden they panic and think they're out of the project because they've been with this project so long, and then they're afraid they're being shoved out. So my answer is, very easily, what's on IMDb is accurate. Okay? What's on IMDb is accurate, and once we get the final parts of pre-production done, We're going to make the formal press statements and announcements, and I think everybody will be very, very pleasantly surprised and very happy with who's going to be
Awesome.
attached.
That's fantastic. That's great to hear.
IMDb is a great bullshitting tool.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like Wikipedia of film.
Yeah,
Like,
but you know,
I
you
can
get
say
these,
that I'm
you get
attached
these,
to Death House.
right?
if
But
I
you get
wanted.
these people that go on IMDb and they're IMDb whores is really what it is. They just everything's in development, in development, in development, in
Right.
development. Well, that means none of that means anything. If you look at my IMDb, it's what's there. Okay, this is what's going on. This is what's done. This is what's contracted, and that's it. I could have 25 projects on IMDb that are all in development. So, what does that mean?
It means you're more awesome.
You're so busy.
Now,
And you
people
are
in the
busy,
industry
though.
know, oh, so you're full of shit. And that's what they do. Oh, okay.
Awesome.
But see,
Well,
like
thank
in
you for-
retrospect, I think of like the movie Cursed, and like I remember Heather Langenkamp being attached to that movie, and she was, and the entire movie was filmed and shot, and then they filmed it all over again,
Yeah.
and she was completely cut out of it. So until the movie hits
Right.
distribution, you can't judge on who's going to be involved in a film.
Oh, absolutely. I just had a guy reach out to me on Twitter who asked, oh, how do you get your actors? How do you get your celebrities? And do you use IMDb or do you use Twitter? And my answer was really simple. I get my actors when I have the money in the bank. That's how I get my actors. And he said, well, I have a friend who is making a movie and he got so-and-so attached to it. And I said, does he have money in the bank? And he replied back, no. I said, well, then your friend doesn't have an actor.
Yeah.
You can say all you want that they verbally agreed, and you get these people who, go to a horror convention and they say, oh, I've got a movie, I would love for you to be in it. Well, most actors are very nice, and they're going to go, oh, yeah, call me. Well, to that person who's delusional, they go, oh, yeah, Robert Englund said he'd be in my movie. No, he didn't say that.
He said that so you can move along the line
Right,
and he
move
can sign
along.
the next autograph.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what they do. So it's hard to sift that out, and especially in the horror world where you have so many people that talk a good game, but they're really, look, again, when I announce something, then it will happen, and that's it. Because when you start announcing things, I mean, look, anything can fall through. We all know that. Money can fall through at any time, even days before production starts. I had that happen in April, and that was the first time it ever happened to me. But otherwise, when you get these people that just fill their IMDb's full of in developments and rumors and all that stuff, it means nothing.
I was actually kind of curious to get him involved in some of the other questions that we were asked earlier, just about horror. Just as a horror fan, like one of the questions we were asked, what is the last great slasher that you think you've seen?
I know that I really thought, I don't know if it classifies as a slasher, but I mean, I thought High Tension was really good.
Yes.
Oh,
Fuck yes.
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, High Tension was a, holy hell, man.
I haven't seen that in a decade. I need to revisit that movie, man.
Marie is terrifying on every level.
Yeah, that was a pretty jarring slasher.
Yes.
It's hard to say. I mean, wow, because the subgenre itself is kind of faded. I mean, we took a risk even making Camp Dread. We didn't know what would happen. And Camp Dread took well over a year to start building an audience. And I tell all my actors that my films usually have to get out there and find their audience after a while. So with Camp Dread, we were worried that, my God, we asked that same thing. When was the last good slasher? So
Right.
I'm gonna stick by High Tension. I'm gonna say that one.
I think I would agree with that. I'm not too certain. I'm not too certain that it would be classified as a slasher, but it's close enough.
Yeah, I would say so.
It is fantastic, and it's one of those movies that they better not fucking remake.
And that there's not even that much dialogue in it to
it's
require
completely
a remake
unnecessary.
Americanized, but they still will, and they'll add on something stupid, like another character into the story that's unnecessary. And
well, I mean, look what
keep
they
it
did with
simple.
Let the Right One In. You know, I mean,
Oh yes.
that remake was dreadful. The American adaptation was just so soulless.
And the actors in it were very qualified actors.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
you bring a story and you add in the things that were in that story, and it butchered it.
Yeah,
It was not entertaining whatsoever.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I'd like to know, is there any like horror actors and or actresses that you would have on your wish list to put in a film?
Yeah. You know who I really want to work with? I mean, you always, again, when you answer that question, then you always get somebody going, well, why didn't they mention me? You know?
Right.
Oh, of course.
But I really, we've connected very well on Twitter. Two people, Courtney Palm and Bianca Brady.
Yes. Yeah, no, Courtney Palm, I think, is phenomenal. I have the biggest girl crush on her.
Yeah,
I think that
sweetheart.
she's an amazing. She can be the bitch, but she makes you like her at the same time.
Oh,
and she's gorgeous. She has a screen presence like
Yeah.
not a lot of other people have nowadays. She's
I
phenomenal.
completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Especially her role in Sushi Girl.
Yeah.
I like despite her just sitting around for like a long time, I thought she was actually very well. She did a great job when she actually had a speaking role.
Yeah, she's terrific.
In fucking Zombievers, don't get me started.
Also, Zombievers is a lot of fun. I like Zombievers.
And she's willing to get topless, so that's
Yay.
Yay.
She has great boobs.
Good boobs. I will say that as a female,
Right?
she is very, very attractive.
Yeah, she is.
Without
She's
the
beautiful.
clothing.
Talked back and forth on Twitter, and when we finally have something solid to offer, and a good financial offer, I'll gladly reach out to her. It's like she's a sweetheart. She's very nice. I'm friends with the producer of Sushi Girl, Neil Fisher.
Yes. Now I know you have an announcement coming up, and I won't probe too much, but it's about zombie killers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What is non-spoilery that you can drop right now?
It involves wide release through a new platform with technology that they're preparing a major press release on it, so I really can't say certain things because it will take away from what they want. I'll probably end up getting in trouble.
For sure.
But what I can say is that it's really going to further the film wider than where it's already been, and it's done well up to this point. But this is kind of like the next level, which I'm really excited about.
Are we speaking on Zombie Killers, the first film?
The first film, but then we are getting ready. Looks like these recent developments will solidify the sequel, and the goal always was a trilogy. So that's what the investor wants. He wants a trilogy.
What was the response like from Zombie Killers in the paintball community? Because I know that was a huge push.
Yeah. Look, from the very beginning, I even wrote before the film's release, and kind of like an open letter of why I didn't want to make a zombie movie. So when we were making Camp Dread, we were sitting around one night after the the campfire scene, and the director of photography said, he goes, "Would you ever make a zombie movie?" I'm like, "Fuck no, I'd never make a zombie movie." And the reason why is what I wrote, just that I kind of think that overall zombie movies are all the same. So when this guy came to me, paintball was a major aspect of it all. That's what he wanted. So the paintball community reacted really well and very strong to it. And, I mean, it was different. With zombies, what more are you going to do with them?
The ending of Zombie Killers, if anybody has seen this, and if you haven't, go check it out. Felissa Rose has a fucking phenomenal performance in Zombie Killers.
She's scarier than the zombies.
She's fantastic, and she's very convincing. She's very convincing in a religious sect.
Yes.
And Gabrielle Stone did a fantastic job as well. Loved her. So the end, essentially, spoiler, so stop listening for 1 second. At the very end, we have these shipping crates. And it seems like you're building up to something that's going to take place on maybe a large shipping dock or a boat of some sort. And this is me never talking to you about the sequel or ever hearing about
That's
it.
true. We've never discussed the sequel.
But I feel that Zombie Killers 2 may be taking place on a boat, like a shipping boat, like something that has a lot of metal containers on it. Is this something that you can confirm?
I can confirm that, yes.
Awesome. That is fantastic because
Yes.
that is going to make a great playground for
Yeah.
paintball, and it's going to continue that trend. And so that's what I was really interested in, because Zombie Killers did play to the paintball sport. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's a global sport.
So it played to that. It didn't have as much as I think that a lot of the paintball enthusiasts would have liked, considering that some of the main paintball pros would have been at the end. And are they going to play? Are they going to play?
We had Ryan Greenspan and we had Ollie Lang in the end,
right?
Where their characters will continue in the sequel. It's a fine line you had to walk. I mean, look, when somebody comes to you and says, they want to make a zombie movie and you got to feature paintball, your first reaction as a director and a writer is what is this, a joke? Like, really? Like,
right.
What am I supposed to do with this? So, you have to be careful of, I thought how I did it with integrating the sport organically as a training kind of exercise that Billy Zane uses with the kids worked out the best way. To actively go hunting them with paintball guns, which was discussed in the beginning, I told the investor, you're going to get laughed off the screen. I mean, no one's going to accept this. It took a year to negotiate $1 million for the fields. It took a year to negotiate that. And, in the final analysis with all of that, the guy said right out, I'm doing this. I have some money to do this with. We'll give it a shot. And I told him, I said, the odds are you'd be better off going to Atlantic City, putting all your money on the roulette wheel, and seeing how you do. You have a better chance of getting your money back or a return on that than you do putting it into a movie.
Now, so when that happened, what's your response to that?
What do you mean, what happened?
Like, so you did get the money for the
yes.
When you told the guy that you'd be better off investing somewhere else, but he still invested in you, I think what
was that? That just did that create like a stronger bond? And did
yes.
he go on? Did he go on to fund your films, like from the fields?
No. He made it very clear he wanted to do this once just to see. It was one of those things. I'm going to try this once in my life and see how it goes. Fortunately, it's done well. I mean, the Fields has done very well, both critically and financially. And,
fantastic. That's great to hear.
But he was a banker by nature, by profession. So for him, he didn't want to hear Sunshine and Puppy Dog Tales and all of that garbage. He didn't want to hear any of that. What he wanted to hear was, the hard-nosed answer. And the hard-nosed answer was, I'm not going to blow your money. And if you don't want to do this, now's the time to say so. And he said, we're going to do this. I want you to get me 2 celebrities. He goes, I want 2 names. And so we went out, and, I always wanted Cloris Leachman. That was the one we wanted. And I wanted Tara Reid.
That's awesome. Now, can I ask, why did you want Tara Reid?
Those are some polar opposite pulls.
Yeah,
definitely. Like, these are very different, and Tara Reid wasn't a huge pull at the time.
No.
What was your inspiration to get her on board?
I think a lot of it really had to do with Tara Reid, especially at that point in her life where she was at, really fit the character. She really fit the character of my mother. And I really felt that the media was also really giving her a good, I really felt that the media was giving her a real kicking. They were cowards. It's like, the online world has created these internet tough guys. People go on and they anonymously snipe and they can comment. All behind, anonymity is what they can do.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm going to say for the record again, every time I say it, Tara Reid showed up on time. She was wonderful to everybody on that set. She was in the zone. She was professional. And she is one of the smartest people I've ever known that I've met. I mean, her working knowledge of film, she's been doing this since she was like 5 years old. And her working knowledge, she's just fantastic. And, you know, and she's a stellar actress. And I don't care.
Screaming in Urban Legend is still, like, it's one of my favorite parts of that entire movie. Absolutely. Her scream is, it's blood-curdling.
And when you sit and you talk with her and you hear, you know, the detailed knowledge that she has of film, you know, she's not, you know, like the media paints her out. I mean, my ultimate question, I don't want to turn this into a Tara Reid expose, but my ultimate question always was, piss anybody off? I mean, you have celebrities out there that kill people, right? Matthew Broderick killed 2 people, did he not? Why isn't anybody on him? You know, Drew Barrymore, well, she got drunk in public. She did some bad girl things. But when you have Steven Spielberg as your godfather, I guess nobody takes a swipe at you. Okay?
Right, yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Guy.
Drew Barrymore, if I'm not mistaken, Drew Barrymore threatened to beat the shit out of a journalist on an interview. When has Tara Reid ever done that? Why is anybody, you know, it's like, who did Tara Reid piss off? And I don't even think it's even a simple question like that.
It's not even that. It's not her personality.
Yeah, it's not that.
It's the fucking Entertainment Weekly decided, she's lost too much weight this week.
Somebody found
like,
the
are you
weekly
fucking
pariah.
serious? Like, take that from her. She's been building all her, like, for like 5 to 10 years, her acting career, and you're just like, she's skinny this week, so we're gonna put her on the front page, put her on blast, and fuck her.
It's ridiculous.
Like, really?
It's stupid.
If you don't mind,
and it's all under the guise of entertainment. Now, let me tell you, when we were shooting The Fields, a prominent horror magazine showed up on set and wanted an interview with me because The Fields is a true story, and they wanted to hear the real story behind The Fields. And I was out in the fields. I was literally out getting ready, talking with them about setting up the next shot. And Tara was inside in the farmhouse with Cloris. And they came to me and they said, you're Harrison Smith. Can we get an interview with you? And I said, no. And they said, why? And I said, well, listen, I said, I have an actress, Tara Reid, sitting inside that farmhouse that just literally only a month ago, you guys published some pretty nasty personal shit about her. You said some pretty nasty damn things. I could see if it was a professional thing that, all right, she made a film, you didn't like her performance. You guys took some personal pot shots at her. Now, while I'm a believer in freedom of speech, I'm also a believer in, you know, freedom of repercussions. So there is a consequence for freedom of speech. And I said, you guys walk in and give your heartfelt apologies, and they go, well, we didn't write it. And I said, that doesn't matter. You represent the magazine that did. I said, you go in and apologize to her, and I'll give you an interview. Otherwise, I said, I'm not an actor. I don't care if you put me in front of the camera. I don't care about interviews. I don't care. So, you know, you may have wasted a whole trip out here. Well, to their credit, they went in, they apologized on behalf of the magazine, and they got their interview.
And that's exactly
amazing.
What everybody, or especially actors, would want from the directors. Like,
well, I wasn't the
standing up for, like, the people that you believe in. And that's awesome. And a lot of people won't do that. And that's why you're a stand-up guy.
Well, it's just, look, she's a human being. She gets up every day. She goes to work. She does her thing. She doesn't harm anybody. She doesn't bother anyone. And she's a nice person. I mean, everybody on set said the same thing. My God, you know, wish Tara Reid was on set every day is what they said. And, you know, Lindsay Lohan goes out and does all the crap that she does, and she gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chances. Tara Reid's never shut down a movie. Tara Reid's never jeopardized a film schedule. Tara Reid's never done anything to invoke insurance or bonding or anything of the sort. She's always been nice. She doesn't badmouth people in the press.
Yeah, it's quite like high school in a lot of instances, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely it is. You know, and I can't say enough nice things about her. We stay in touch.
And you should, too, and I commend you for being somebody that stands up for another decent human being, despite the fact that, you know, public was maybe convinced by media or whatever else that, hey, you should dislike this certain celebrity this week. You know, they do that all the time. That's not reality. And
No, it isn't.
I'm totally
It just
happy that
sells.
you're standing up for
It, it
somebody.
it just gets clicks, or it sells papers or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that's all it does, and it very much is like high school. And you know, the other thing that I find, it's extremely. I'm not an alarmist, and I don't buy into especially the false outrage on Twitter and all that. You know, everybody gets behind a cause and they're hashtagging the next big bullshit. Um, but I do believe that there is something to, you know, the double standard in Hollywood with sexism. I mean, Rob Lowe can go out and sleep with two underage girls and get that on video, and he's considered a rehabilitated actor. I mean, let us not forget that Robert Downey Jr. did a lot of crazy shit. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Now, Robert Downey Jr. never got half the treatment that Tara Reid has gotten. Okay. Why? Because he's a guy. Okay. And that's really what it is. I mean, these men in Hollywood, I mean, you know, between Errol Flynn and look at Peter O'Toole and the hell raising he did. He was drunk half the time with Richard Harris. Nobody ever blackballed him or put all this stuff in the media about them. Guys can get away with it. But, you know, let a girl step out of line, let her do anything that you know, I mean, for example, there's I won't name it on this program, and I don't name this person, but all you have to do is a little research. There's a very famous film executive who openly got oral sex at an Oscar party, okay, in front of all the guests. I think it was at Arnold Schwarzenegger's house, if I'm not mistaken. And
I know
everybody
who you're
stood
talking
there.
about.
You know what I mean? And everybody went, nah, that's Hollywood, you know?
Right.
But, you know, God forbid, don't let Tara Reid go out and celebrate something and get a little loopy so 500 photographers can photograph her and say she's a drunk.
See, and
Okay.
I see
Yeah.
Tara Reid, and I think about her roles that she has like chosen recently, like even example of Sharknado, and I'm like the level of like humor that she has and just the good-natured like personality that she has, it shows through with picking that role, and that she's almost parodying herself, and that she's such a lighthearted person that she's like, okay, you're gonna make fun of me, and I'm totally okay with that. And I don't know, I still love her from when she did like Van Wilder and Urban Legend and all of that, and I still love her to this day.
Well, I remember on set, we were filming the bar scene in the fields, and she'll corroborate this story, and it's not anything big or secret or anything like that. But when I rallied for her, when I wrote a letter to her, I believe it was her manager. I may be wrong on that, but I believe it was her manager at the time. And I wrote this letter saying why I wanted her for the film. And it was a very passionate letter, and saying, you know, this will be a solid film for her, and we'll all give a middle finger to the vultures that try to circle around, you know, somebody who's down. And she was, I don't even like to phrase that she was down. She just was being picked on, is what it was. And it's funny how Hollywood gets behind the anti-bullying thing, but they'll bully each other. They'll do it to their own.
That's a tweet that I put a few days ago. Like, everybody's all anti-bully until it comes to celebrities, and then it's
until it comes to celebrities, and then then they do all that.
Yeah.
So anyway, a production coordinator came over to me and said, Tara wants to see you in her trailer. And I was like, oh, okay, like, did I do something? You know, is something wrong? You know, because as a producer, that's what you think. And she was not like that. She wasn't a diva, but it was like, oh crap, like, to be summoned, it must be something. So I went into the trailer, and she dismissed the makeup and hair girl. She said, could you give us a minute? And I'm like, oh boy, like, what's wrong here? Did the directors piss her off? I don't know. This is my first movie. I've never done this. And she walked up to me, and she pulled out that letter. And she looked at me and she said, did you write this? And I still don't know what the proper answer would be, but the honest one, and I said, yes, I did. And she hugged me, and she got all choked up, and she said, no one has ever stuck up for me like this, and I just wanted to thank you. And that's what she said.
So
yeah,
awesome.
I never forgot that.
Amazing.
That's the kind of person she is. She's a very nice person.
Yeah. That's the sad part of all of this, you know?
Well, don't let it. I don't ever want to give off the impression that she's some type of weak victim. She's not. She knows the
No.
deal. She knows the deal. She's been in this business for a long time. She said it. They love you when you go up, and they love to kick you when you come down. And
Yep.
and when she's back up on top, they'll all be like, "Oh, we love you," and then she'll remember. She's no dummy,
No.
But she's not some simpering, shrinking violet. She goes on with her life. She does what needs to be done.
That's
And,
way to go.
And she's a wonderful person,
Awesome. That is great to hear, to be honest, because
That's
there's
actually,
a lot
like-
of people that do not have that insight. That have been
Oh, sure.
wondering, what has she been doing since American Pie?
Hmm.
There's
There's a lot of people that take
Well,
they take their cues from the headlines.
Sure. Well, and that's the
Exactly.
problem. That's why I write the series
cinema.
of essays that I write called Cinema, because
I will link to
audiences-
that in the description. This is Harrison Smith's. He writes some articles. What's the website?
it's on zombieapocalypse.net is hosting it, and I can send you a link to it then where it's the actual site. I
Definitely.
don't have it on me right now. I'd have to click off to go do it. But it also talks about, it's not ranting against the industry, although sometimes you do that. It really talks, but
it is.
We're horror
But
hosts.
wait a
But
minute.
that's what
But
everybody
it puts the
wants
onus,
to hear.
It puts the onus back on audiences as well too. That I firmly believe that,
Sure.
that audiences have a right to expect more of their art. They have a right to expect more of their popular culture, and that when people go, "Oh, not another remake, not another reboot," well, the reason why they're making this stuff is because we're telling people it's okay. We're going to see it.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
paying
yeah.
for it.
If you
I'm right
continue
there with
buying
you.
tickets, we will keep making them.
That they're only making it because someone's watching it.
Because there's a name to be exploited.
Why was
That's
there
right.
a Friday, or why was there Jason Goes to Hell? Because everybody fucking went to everything else.
Right. Right.
That
And so, you as an audience, I often say that, there's nothing wrong with a Big Mac. You can eat your Big Mac, that's great, but when your diet becomes fast food or processed food and you no longer know the difference between prepackaged food and cuisine, you have a problem.
That is probably one of my biggest complaints, really, as a reviewer, as somebody that says, man, there was some classic stuff released, and now everybody's going to go see the half-assed fucking remake that
Yeah.
was made for the name and not because they had something to add.
right.
And now we've gotten to the point of remakes of remakes.
Yes.
Yes,
And that's
it
what
is
we're
getting
seeing.
to that point.
We're seeing,
can't-
yeah, it is getting to that
We're
point.
gonna get Carrie.
Yeah, another
In probably
another
5
origin
years.
story. Why not?
Yeah.
Everything is a fucking origin story now.
But
Let's
yeah.
keep that ball rolling,
not
I guess.
unrealistic. It's just the nature of the beast.
We're kind
I
of in
don't
the
understand
quickening at
why.
the moment. Everything's evolving so fucking fast that the next generation is totally ready for the remake, even though we're left
Well-
going, wait, the last
I have a
movie only
question.
came out
I
a
have a
decade
question,
ago.
Harrison, that kind of parlays off this one. And
Okay.
So, Wormwood.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm certain you've seen it.
I have.
So something like Wormwood, like a fantastic zombie movie that has been made this year,
Mhm.
with a lot of funding behind it, but it was pirated probably the most out of any movie in 2015. Like, how does this pirating affect like indie horror in general? Because honestly, this is one of the best movies of the year, and they didn't make any money, especially considering the way that Australian funding is delivered. They
Yeah.
don't get paid
That's right.
until people buy their stuff, instead of here's $15 million, Robert Downey Jr., just go make Avengers.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's sell product, get money.
I haven't even watched Wormwood yet because I don't want to download it and I
Right.
don't want to
Buy
stream
the
it.
Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is now
I
out.
want to own it to be able to watch it.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray is now available. I will link to it as well if I watch all 4 hours of this live podcast and I hear myself say that.
I'll send you a
But it
Facebook
is
message,
fantastic.
Jay.
It is definitely in the top 5 of the year. It's fucking awesome.
I haven't heard anything but good things.
What do you think about that? Like, how's pirating affecting like indie horror in general? I guess.
I think the problem goes deeper than financial. Zombie Killers was also heavily pirated, and in fact, my brother has what is called the NVIDIA Shield, which basically is like Netflix for pirated movies. And I mean, all my films, all 4 of my films are on there, and the amount of views that are calculated, all I see is, well, there's missing revenue, there's missing revenue. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think the deeper problem with the whole pirating thing is you have a situation that you have an audience or a generation now that no longer understands that movies can be art and that they were meant to be seen on big screens. Jaws or Raiders of the Lost Ark or Star Wars are not meant to be seen on an iPad. They're not meant to be seen on a phone. That's the deal. The Godfather is meant to be seen on a giant screen. That's the way it was made. That's how it was constructed. But you have an audience now that not only doesn't know that, they don't want to know. Okay, that's the issue. It's not that they don't know it. So I'm too young to be ranting about this. But what I do see is a generation that is just ignorant, and they don't care that they're ignorant, because the danger of pirating is taking away how a movie was meant to be seen as well too. And that is a danger. That's almost like cultural vandalism is really what it is. And it goes deeper than just the financial loss to the filmmakers, which is sad enough, because you are correct. I mean, now I saw Wormwood legally. I don't download movies. I saw it on Netflix. So, and I have the Blu-ray. But I reached out to Bianca because of that and said, you know, from one zombie filmmaker to another, you know, and she and I have struck up a very nice online rapport
please
with
make
each other.
this happen, please.
And-
Bianca in Zombie Killers 2 would be a fantastic.
Oh,
addition.
believe me, we're already. I've already broached some ideas with Bianca. I hope that answers the question. I think that
Definitely.
it runs deeper than the financial loss, which is already bad enough. But that because, for example, movies that are coming out now, the younger generation, they don't go see them. They download them.
Right. Yeah.
They don't buy movies. They don't collect movies. They don't care what sits on their shelf. Everything is on the phone. I think there's another danger to the downloading thing, which goes beyond financial or cultural relevance or whatever, and that is I like having movies on media. I like having them on hard media.
Yeah, that's what
And
I
the
grew up
reason
with.
why is, what happens 20 years from now when somebody feels that a movie is offensive and they go back and digitally erase it? Imagine if somebody one day deems Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles as too offensive and goes back in and just digitally expunges anything that somebody because look, we're living in a world now where every asshole is offended by something.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
due next year.
You know, so what happens when somebody has the technology to go back and start changing things?
I think about Star Wars, having the original copies of Star Wars, and how they went in and added Jar Jar Binks to different scenes, and now it's hard to find those original copies anymore.
Absolutely. Well, I just saw today that they're re-releasing the original Star Wars untouched, the original first film untouched.
Except.
Is there an except? Oh no.
No, that's what I was waiting for you to say. I don't know any information.
No, Disney is releasing it untouched.
Good.
This is the original 1977 print, like the version of it. And I think that's important that we do that. And I don't want to see DVD go away, not because I just want to keep my player, but the fact that I know what's there. I know it's there. That's the way it was released, and that's how it is. Okay?
That is important, yes.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because that's going to happen. Because you have people now that are out there, protesting movies, and they want this. And look, who was it just recently? It was Jerry Seinfeld that was talking about, look how college campuses are now. You can't even go on campus and do comedy anymore. You got college kids that are offended, the PC crowd. And then you get all these people defending. Look, my answer is always the same thing. You don't like it, turn it the fuck off.
Right.
And that's it. Turn
In fact,
the channel,
sort of,
switch the channel, turn it
if
off.
you don't
have
like
an off
it,
button.
that's kind of
That's it.
I'm doing
Like round of applause.
You know, this bullshit of catering to everybody and someone's offended and, you know, we can't say midget because they're little people and we can't, I mean, you know.
Where do we end?
Where do we end with this?
It doesn't end until we put
know?
ourselves all in jail. But I want to go back and say, like, the whole thing about pirating, if I could get back to that just for a second.
Definitely. I
The
think
fact
this is a
that
very
we've got
important
a
topic.
whole new generation that really does rely very heavily on pirating, and they don't seem to understand that they're hurting themselves, because these same people that are pirating music and movies are going on to try and be music artists and directors.
Right.
Yeah. You
Why
know,
are
then
they
they find out, right?
putting
Yeah, then
themselves
it's
in that
unfair.
prison?
Yeah, then it's unfair to them. You
Always
know, oh, my
unfair.
album
My-
would have made $1
my
million.
album flopped.
Yeah, because
Like,
everybody
yeah,
pirated it. Yeah,
just exactly what you're doing, asshole. Like,
right.
get your shit together. Now,
Yeah, we should totally support each other, man, right?
It
Yeah.
is a vicious cycle, however, because, like, say for somebody like myself, that, like, when It Follows came out, everyone that I knew, like, through YouTube and stuff like that, for the majority is all American, and there was a lot of theaters that were having, like, the limited release of that film, and I still, to this day, I cannot find it anywhere locally on DVD or Blu-ray or anything like that. And it never came within 2 or 3 hours of where I live to a theater. So
I just saw it on a
so you
VOD.
have an issue.
it sucks, and it's a vicious cycle, because if people like myself that really wanted to see that movie, and I did stream that film, and I will admit that one, but when I am forced to do something like that, then they're not getting the money, and then their next film won't have the production costs to be able to be distributed widely. And it's a vicious, vicious cycle, because people want to see these films, and they will go to any means that they can to be able to see that film. And when it's not made available to them, what other choice do we
Right.
really have?
Yeah, that is true.
The problem that needs to be resolved is you can't have staggering release dates. You can't release
Right.
something
Right.
in North America on the 29th of October today, or fucking this year, and then release it in the UK 2 months later. Because everybody who's released it then, it's already online.
Yeah,
You're
right.
fucked.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So when Wormwood was released, was 5 months ago, 6 months ago. But their DVD release didn't come out till last month.
Yeah.
Right.
They fucking took a huge hit, and
Yep.
it pisses me off to no end, especially considering the quality of this film. And I was a huge advocate on Twitter. I posted so many things on Facebook, and I will continually boycott all these assholes that are fucking downloading this movie. These people deserve the money because they
Of
were
course.
given this money and they don't get paid. They do not get paid until people buy their films.
But on another note, that's why reviewers such as, like, I'm not even going to include myself, like yourself and Eric, and, like, We Watched Movie, and, like, those other, like, large YouTubers that give reviews that are saying to me, like, hey, this is worthwhile, and I'm like, okay, without even watching this movie, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to spend the money on it, and I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to add it to my collection, which, to be totally truthful, if I had bought It Follows, I'd be pissed that
That's
I have
fine,
that.
and that's fine. But you would have bought it, and that is the fucking point.
And it would have, I mean, granted, yes, it totally
But
would have
does it
supported.
deserve it?
It depends, Lindsay. It kind of depends on how you think about filmmaking.
Yes.
Yes, it completely depends on that.
You had
And I think-
hundreds of people involved.
I
that
think
need
an
to get paid.
Yes.
An example I'd like to bring up is Clown, Eli Roth's Clown. Have you guys seen this movie?
I watched it, yes.
It's not
Yeah.
released in North America, so anyone who has seen it has
Yep.
downloaded it.
Streamed it.
So
Yep.
I wanted to review this 6 months ago when it was released in UK, but I am very true to what I fucking do, and I will buy every single movie I can review, and I will make sure if I can't buy it, then the director or writer provides it to me, or the distributor gives it to me. I'm waiting to review
Same here.
Clown, and Clown has been out for like almost a whole year now.
Yeah.
Like I can speak with him at any moment. Well, we'll see if we can get him in here. That'd be awesome.
Right
I would
We'll
die,
see what we can
by
do.
the way. Yeah.
I
No,
will
but
actually
it
try
is-
that in a second. It's just
It's on my wish list on Amazon because John's
That's-
brother
that's
has a wish list.
you.
Because I didn't even really like the film, I still want to buy it, and it's on my wish list.
That this is a respectable thing, and I'm not trying to knock you for doing what you did, but
I
like,
feel
I
shitty
would
every
say
single time I do it.
this is honestly one of the most requested things on our channel for the last 6 months is review Clown. Yes, I can
Mine too.
download it. I can go to Ice Films right now and download that film, and I will not review it until it is released where I am located, so that when I plug it and if I give it a positive review, the people that are watching my review can actually go and buy it and not be assholes and go and download it. The same thing has happened with a movie called The Slashing. It was just picked up by Troma. I've been holding that review for 3 months now. It's been uploaded on my channel for 3 months, and it actually just got released last Tuesday. But I held it for 3 months because I'm like, this has actually already been leaked, and I didn't release my fucking review, and I'm going to release it next week, and it's fucking awesome, so go check it out.
But I think that's really important, though, because, I mean, we may be on the fringes, but we're involved in this at some point. And
Right.
we've got to fucking represent that this is a community. And good or bad, we're fucking supposed to be here for each other. We may be reviewers and we'll tell it like it is, but that doesn't mean that we say, like, hey, fucking rip this person off. This whole crew of people, because this movie wasn't up to my standards, that's not even at all what it's about. Because, as we all know, there is probably movies that we all disagree about. Everybody thinks is good, everybody else thinks is bad. So it's a totally subjective matter of opinion. But that doesn't, there was families involved, crews of people trying to fucking pay bills. It's just, It's important that we all fucking support each other, because even you and I, Jay, we've talked about one day we're going to do some movies together. So, obviously we want people to be buying. Okay, and the horror.
Yeah.
You'll be our
Like
screen
me,
queen.
the store,
She's
like the
most
star of
important
that.
one,
Like
right?
I'm totally okay with like nudity.
What? You
Fine.
weren't in the last
I've
video.
been waiting for this day, Harrison.
Yeah,
we're
what's up?
here for him.
Now I know I missed you last week, but Adrian Barbeau was there.
So sorry,
Yeah.
but you were at the Toronto.
No, he was at Scaricon, which is in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't gonna make it to the New York one. There's no
I was
way.
at
But
Homathon.
I thought you were talking about like the Fan Expo, and I was.
No, he wasn't at Fan
Yeah.
Expo. It was like I went to Scaricon, which Harrison was there, Felissa Rose was there,
Yeah.
Bill Moseley was there.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to know, Adrian Barbeau, Love Bites. What's up?
It's going great. Adrian and I have. It's really cool. It's nice to write a script in tandem with somebody, and I got the rights to her book to adapt it into a screenplay, and I wrote the first draft, sent it to her. She really loved the way I streamlined things down, but it's her baby, and the fact that you get to work with Adrian Barbeau,
Right.
which is just awesome.
Yeah.
So, I invited her from the very beginning to be like, look, I want your input in on this script, and so we trade the draft back and forth, and we're really excited. We're going to be making some pretty big announcements on that, on directorial attachments and things along that line coming up. But she is a wonderful person to work with, and the best part is she hates horror movies. I was introduced to her by Tommy Lee Wallace. So
Oh, okay.
Tommy is kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi for me, and
He is for me too. I
yeah,
don't even know.
Tommy is awesome, and we were hanging out, and Tommy said, "Well, would you like to meet Adrienne Barbeau?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"Does
yes.
the Pope wear a funny hat?" Yeah, sure. So I met her, and we started talking, and it's nice that you have an established resume, that they see you're for real. And she said, "Well, I'm trying to get this book that I wrote off the ground into a screenplay," and I said, "Well, let me read the book." So I read the book, and I liked it. It's like a horror film noir kind of thing, and that's what I really loved about it. And we started working together. She's a
Adrienne
sweetheart.
Barbeau and like Barbara Steele are like two of my
Yeah.
like top two like femme fatales that I'd love to meet. Oh, like
It-
iconic women.
It's so great. Every once in a while, like she'll call, like at this time, like it's really late here, but on your time, like on the west, well, not on Jay's time. I don't know where you are in
Oh,
Canada.
she's like 2 hours from me, so.
Yeah. Okay, but
Eastern,
on the
yeah.
West Coast, of course, it's earlier. But sometimes she'll call with that Stevie Wayne voice from The Fog. I never get tired of it.
Oh my
And
god.
it's just like she'll be like, "Hi, it's Adrian." I'm like, "It's Stevie Wayne," and you're listening to KAB. Like
Right?
Antonio Bay.
I would just fangirl the entire time.
Oh my God.
I'm
I
totally
never
not
get
cool enough.
I never get tired of that. I fan out every once in a while, just because it's so cool.
Yeah.
And so I'll ask her to say something, and I did get her to say, just call me Billy. Everybody does, from Creep Show.
Yay, the crate. Oh,
Yeah, the
so
crate.
good.
Yeah. And so it's just really cool to have that. And like every once in a while, like I'll be on Twitter and she's texting me about a question with Love Bites, and like I'll just do it like to be a douche. Like I'll just tweet, "Oh, I have to stop tweeting. Adrienne Barbeau is texting me." Like, and
Right,
it's just stupid. But it's like one of those
Name
little,
drop.
it's just one of those like little frills that you get, you know what I mean? Like, I just got to do it, and it's stupid and it's douchey, and I don't care.
I would do
I
it.
don't
That.
I don't care. She doesn't tweet a lot. She doesn't do a lot of online stuff. She hates technology. Like, it was funny yesterday, she figured out how to IM like a text from her laptop, and all of a sudden I was getting like the War and Peace of texts. And I even text her back because I was driving back from Philadelphia. I'm like, "Adrian, you just got to give me time to pull over to read these." Like, just stop. And she's like, "Oh my God, I had no idea I was flooding your phone." Like, that's how she. It is so cool to be so lucky to have this job, because
Right.
I always wanted to do this since I was 10 years old. And in my high school yearbook, it says, I want to be a filmmaker. I one day want to be a filmmaker and a screenwriter. That's what I want to do. And I got to do it. And a lot of people don't get to do that. And it's cost me a lot, and you everybody talks about follow your dream, but sometimes that road gets really rough. And
Yeah.
when it gets rough, a lot of people get off the road. They take the rest stop and they go down another road which is smoother.
It seems like the
So-
right road gets the roughest, and you gotta fucking have what it takes to fucking.
And it's still rough.
Get through that.
It's always going to be rough.
Absolutely, that's life. Yeah, you're
And
talking
it is
about life.
That's what it is. And
I get that.
but when you get these little moments, like, I never take for granted that like you said, Jay, I can call Eli Roth, like I can call Tara Reid, I can call Cloris Leachman, I can call Adrienne Barbeau, and you think about how many times as a boy did I watch all these films. And I said this, it's really funny. I just said this to Adrienne this weekend. We had breakfast together, and to her it's like, well, I made a movie. I made The Fog. I made Escape from New York. I made Swamp Thing. I made Creep Show. And I said, but Adrienne, you don't understand. Like, for me, these films were certain epic. Yes. And I told her, I said, I can still remember coming home from an 8th grade dance, and my brother, who was too young to go but saw The Fog at 1 o'clock, 10 o'clock that night, and it was coming back on at 2 o'clock. And I was in 8th grade, riding high, having a good time. And I still remember seeing The Fog for the first time and going, I want to make a movie like this one day. And she didn't understand that. She was like, to her, it's just, well, I made a movie.
Right.
And to us, it's a different thing because these are chapters in our lives.
Right, this has changed me right now.
Yeah.
Like, do you not understand this?
Like, you know what was really cool? When we were making The Fields, Cloris Leachman was in my home having wine, and she got a little loopy, and she started doing Frau Blucher. Okay?
No way.
She was doing the whole Frau Blucher thing, and she did, he was my boyfriend. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, Cloris Leachman.
What's happening right now?
And the best part was the night we picked her up, we took a limo down, we picked her up at Newark Airport, we came back to Alpha, New Jersey, we stopped at a restaurant, and the best part was, you saw High Anxiety? Have you seen that film?
I'm not certain. I have not.
She played a character named Nurse Diesel, and she is brilliant as Nurse Diesel. And there's a great line in the film where she says to Harvey Korman, if you're tardy, there will be no fruit cup. And it's a great line. And we're sitting in the restaurant, and I showed her the dessert menu, and I held up the menu, and I go, Cloris, look, and she read fruit cup, and she just looked at me, and she went, if you're tardy, there will be no fruit cup. And it was great. Like, it's just those little nerdgasm moments that you're like,
I hope she says this.
Yeah, and she did it.
Or not even thinking, but the moment that she does, it's like,
yeah.
Oh my god. And then you realize what the fuck you're doing. You're like,
you kind of feel like you're in another dimension for a second.
Absolutely.
I am.
Yeah, you transcend is really what
I'm
you do.
the 13-year-old boy that, like.
Yeah, it's like you cross the silver screen into the movie or something, and you're just like.
Growing up as a horror fan, who is the person that you would most want to work with?
Ooh.
Work with?
Yeah, you've worked with D. Wallace, and the praise that you've given to everybody that you've actually worked with has been incredible.
Yeah.
So who is somebody that you have not worked with that you want to work with?
Other than Courtney Palm.
Other than Courtney Palm.
Diane Franklin, Amanda Wyss. I really wish some of the old-timers were still around. I wouldn't have been great to work with Vincent Price or somebody like that. You know, what
would have been great. That doesn't even do it justice.
Is there somebody that you would love to get a script from? That you would like to, I want to take this script and make it my own on behalf of you?
I would love if Eli Roth sent me something. Send me something, motherfucker.
Hint.
Right? I'll talk on behalf of you. No problem.
Thank you.
I had already mentioned, though, what about Barbara Steele? Like some of the
Absolutely.
more iconic
Barbara Steele.
women.
That'd be great.
You know who else? You know who else would be? Candy Clark.
Oh yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, Candy Clark. She did a lot of horror. The Blob, Amityville 3D.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, man, I love Amityville 3D. I think all the Amityville films are terrible. Every single one. There isn't a good one.
There isn't a good one, but
3D is a good time, though.
But Amityville 3D is so bad, it is deliciously good.
Yes.
And there are so many great moments in that film. And I saw it in 3D. That's the thing. Like, as a kid, I saw it in the theaters. I was like a teenager. I was like a junior in high school. I was like totally baked when I went to see that thing. And but Amityville 3D is a lot of fun. But I love Candy Clark in it because she's just so goddamn serious in this stuff. Like, she's taking it totally seriously. So if Candy Clark is going to take it seriously, so am I. But I do have a good sleepaway camp story if you want to hear it.
Yeah, I do want to hear
it. So I was 15, and I take this girl to go see Sleepaway Camp. It was playing at the Sherman Theater in downtown Stroudsburg, and everybody was talking about this movie. I did not know the ending, but everybody was saying it was, very different.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And on top of it, the original Friday the 13th had only been been a couple years, but that was shot like right next door to us. And we used to, when I was a junior in high school, we used to break in and sneak into that camp. So that was a lot of fun.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Yeah. So the best part, it was over in Blairstown, New Jersey. So anyway, I take this girl to go see Sleepaway Camp, and we watch it, and the ending pops up. Anyway, when it's done, we walk out in the lobby, and she goes, "What did you think of that?" And I said, "Well," I said, I thought it was a fun little horror film." And she goes, "You know what? I don't think I can date someone who thinks that kind of a movie is fun."
Oh
And I said,
my God.
I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, and here's what I said. I told her, I said, the girl, who at that time I didn't know was Felissa Rose,
Right.
I said, one day I'm going to make a horror movie, I'm going to put her in it. And this girl goes,
No, you
"I don't
didn't.
know if we're a good couple." And so it was like that Jerry Seinfeld episode. It's like, all right, we're broke up. Like, that was it. We're
Like,
broke up.
immediately, like, fuck this chick.
You're out. That was
So,
it.
did you add? Come on, you said I'm gonna
She
put
ain't
her in a
worth it.
horror movie.
I said I want to work with her one day
I
in a horror
believe
film
that.
because she was scary.
I do that because I've got my
That's
own
crazy.
peeps that I already have been planning to work with, and it may happen. You never fucking know.
Right.
Tiffany Shepis is my go-to.
Oh, Tiffany Shepis is wonderful.
Can we?
No.
Can you get her in everything?
I can't wait to put her in something.
I've got Dee
her
Wallace
and-
and like Courtney Palm.
Yeah, we like Dee Wallace, Tiffany Shepis. I love Debbie Rochon,
Debbie
Felissa
Rochon.
Rose, Lynn
Oh,
Lowry.
Make
Barbara
it the
Steele, even at her
Just
age.
like, let's just fucking put like 18 of like the biggest horror chicks.
It'll be Death House too.
Like every single Scream Queen, but
Yeah.
in like a Big Brother scenario. I'd love to see how they fight it out.
Well,
Like-
I'll have to get Danielle Harris in it.
Fine.
Yes.
He's all
Okay.
fine. He's like, fine. I guess that's okay.
I have a
love
post
her.
from like a year and a half ago that was like, name your favorite like cast for a horror movie, and I had Dee Wallace as my mom, and I was like, I'll go back to blonde so that she can play my mom.
Aw.
Kane Hodder as the killer. Oh, damn it! Now I can't even remember his name. It's slipping me. A guy from House.
Oh.
William Catt?
Yes, William Catt as my dad, and Danielle Harris was my best friend.
Aw.
Oh, she better.
Dee
be.
Wallace, I gotta tell you, man, Dee Wallace is so much fun. I
I
love
love
Dee.
her.
Dee is kind of could become like my mom, like she's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's
When
awesome.
like I met her and I was shaking like from head to toe because this is like an iconic person for me to meet, and she's holding on to both of my hands and she's like, "Oh, your skin is so warm," and she's like touching me like all over my shoulders and
Very
everything, and
weird
she's
thing to
hugging.
say.
All I could do was just smile. That's all I did. I just smiled and shook. I couldn't say words to
I'm
her.
sure that's
Actually,
every
because
person.
it's Dee
I've
Wallace.
never felt that way with like a celebrity. Yeah, I get a little nervous when I go to do interviews because I'm not certain that
No.
I could actually like I don't know everything about every single person, obviously. So like I
Yeah.
get a little nervous when I go to talk to somebody, but never somebody where I'm like, oh
Well,
my God.
It's tough when you're also working in the industry as well too. Like last
Right.
year at Scaricon, I mean, Fright Night is one of my favorite films of all time, 1985's Fright Night, and Chris
Yes.
Sarandon was at Scaricon, and I walked up to him, and Felissa Rose knows him, and she said, "Well, if you need to, drop my name." But I walked up to his table, and look, I didn't get a picture. I didn't ask for an autograph, although I really wanted to get a picture with him because it's Jerry Dandridge,
Yeah.
And but I just said to him, I said, your movies and beyond. I mean, I know he's done way more, of course. We all know that than Fright Night, but
Yes.
Fright Night holds a very special place with me. And I just shook his hand and I said, I just want to say thank you for what you do for the art and for the medium. And I just wanted to just simply shake your hand and say thank you. Your movies have provided a lot of great memories, and thanks for being, a great professional. That's what I said to him.
And
But-
how did he respond?
He was a gentleman. He was very nice, and he was like, "Oh well." And I think it was good because there wasn't any gushing or it was
Right.
like I think
I'm not a huge fanboy, but
Yeah.
I am paying respects.
And
Hey.
then but although I did do, at the last
However,
Scarecon.
you are a huge fanboy, so little does he know.
Right, I am. But the best part was last week Barry Bostwick was up at Scarecon.
Right. Yeah, he was
And-
cool.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, and all this stuff that he's done. But I got to tell you, I wanted to go over and just shake his hand, and I did, just to simply tell him that I thought his performance in FDR, American Badass, was one of
Yes!
the funniest goddamn things. Holy shit, is that movie funny?
Oh God!
my
Have you
God.
seen Nightwolves? The
No, I want to see it.
Helen Keller Nightwolves?
Have you seen it?
No, no.
What?
I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried that they might have taken the joke too far.
Like way too far.
Way too
I
far?
agree with you.
But I got to tell you, man, him as FDR in that movie, I mean, there were moments I was laughing so hard I thought I was going to piss my pants.
That guy is the most down-to-earth guy.
And he's just so nice. It's just so nice to be able to tell somebody that made you laugh so hard, thank you. I did tell Barry, I did get to tell him, I said, I think there were many one-liners out of, I mean, FDR American Badass is about as quotable as Caddyshack. There's
Is it
just
really?
there's that many quotes in it.
Yeah.
But the one line,
well,
he
I
said,
guess
he goes,
we'll have to do it then.
yeah, you have to do it.
I think we do.
He said, he goes, which line? And I said, it was the line where you were hunting in the opening of the film, and you just go, yep, that was Woodrow Wilson for you. He just didn't give a fuck. He's got that cigarette holder in his mouth, and oh my God.
Have you ever considered putting Lynn Shay in any of your films?
Oh yeah, if we can get her, absolutely, yes. I would love to work with her. I've been a fan of hers
I
since
would,
like
I would
Kingpin.
love to see Lynn Shay and Dee Wallace in the same film.
Oh yeah, go at it.
It's like
Battle.
the like opposing mothers.
I'd like to see. I'd like to see Jay Bond in another film where he actually has some speaking roles.
It's been awesome having you, Harrison.
Yeah.
It's been great. Yeah, thank you. This was a lot of fun, and it was a nice impromptu surprise, and nice meeting both of you.
These guys are awesome.
Yeah,
If
they
you
are.
Want them on your set.
We'll make that happen. Believe me,
Yeah.
Jay knows.
We'll
I
do
don't just-
Unfriended too.
That'll be it for me. No, Jay knows.
I do
When
some
I extend
really
an invite,
great
I
special
follow
effects.
up on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do special effects if that helps.
We'll definitely discuss this.
Awesome.
Jay knows. When I invited them all down, they had open carte blanche on my set.
And it was fucking
Yeah.
amazing.
Jay also has a horseshoe up his ass, so.
There's no horseshoe.
Wow.
It's called
That
grinding your fucking
explains
ass off 40
a
hours a
lot.
week to make sure that social media is in place so you get opportunity.
See, that's what us lazy people call a horseshoe up the ass.
Right?
Lazy.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
all of
for
you
that.
as well, and this has been really nice to meet all of you.
It was awesome. Thank you.
Been awesome. Thanks to you, and thanks to Jay and the horror, and the.
All right, well, now we'll see if Courtney Palm gives us a shout-out. but
Yes.
Right?
As soon as I can get her into a role, I will be doing so, because I'd love to work with her.
That would
Yes.
be great. Awesome.
Yes. I'm going to
Thanks,
push
guys.
that.
Take it easy. This has been Bloodbath and Beyond with Harrison Smith, the Death Twitch horror review, and that horror. Like, comment, subscribe. You know what it is.
Good night.